All right, Rippers, it's good to see you. It's Wednesday. Oh, and as Native Voice would say, it's what day is it? What day is it? Oh, yeah, that's right. Ask me. It's hump day. Hump day. Humpa. Anyway, that's for Native Voice. If you're not checking him out in the mornings for his early morning news and commentary, you really should be. It's really worth it. Worth it enough to go back and watch it, even recorded, right? It's good stuff. I try to share it out, especially when he has a good one. So that being said, I was also watching some of my other, favorite friends out there, like Arkansas Living and Ark Wildman Survival and people like that really got me thinking about, my people that I looked up to in my life, or my grandparents and great-grandparents and what they went through, because I think it's really relevant to what's coming up now, right? That being said, I think we're going to need to get back to being self-sufficient. I think that the way they lived back then, where each day was just about getting through that day and planning for the days in the future with canning and drying and all that kind of stuff. Every day it revolved around survival and bettering yourself and putting things back for emergencies and all that kind of stuff we all talk about, right? We all talk about it a lot, but do we really think about just how recent it was in our own families that was being done? I bet that if you have a great grandma out there or grandpa out there still around kicking, you should ask them. They'll share you some stories that are really worth it. That being said, I had a good family member of mine had to put his in-laws into a living condition where they could be watched after a little bit closer, right? Make sure they didn't get hurt and were able to, have everything they needed. So we had to, of course, do that thing we all do where we clean out the house and everything like that. And one thing I noticed is just how different it is. They had very little. They only had what they needed, but they were perfectly happy. It's not like they didn't want for anything. It was neat to see the thriftiness, the things he made just because he wanted to do something. If he wanted an apple core or apple peeler, he didn't go out to the store and buy one. He made one himself, right? We found all kinds of things that he made like that, like his stools. He didn't go and buy a step stool at the store. He made one out of scrap wood from whatever project he was doing last, right? And it's some of the sturdiest stuff that you'll ever see. And I'll share some of these things as I find them lying around here and there and they catch my eye. But yesterday we were speaking about shovels, having an emergency shovel, a small one, whether it's foldable or it's like a shorty or anything like that in your rig for the times when you may get stuck out in the snow, which happens here in Oregon all the time, right? We are always losing people. That's why I put emergency survival kits in all of my family members' cars, as well as how to use them and packs and everything they need, including a shovel. That being said, I came across one of those cool things that people today probably don't do. Now, when you've got a shovel, say like this. Now, this is one of his old shovels here, right? You can see this, right? It's still, the blade is still great. This is, sometimes they don't even make, really good blades like this anymore out of heavy steel with this shape and everything. But you can see it's got some weather and some age, and he even drilled holes in them so he could hang them up himself, right? He didn't buy those fancy hanger things. He just stuck a nail in the board and hung it on there with the hole he drilled in, right? Why go buy something? Why go buy something fancy, right? Anyway, it's about making do. So that being said, this shovel, of course, is still in good shape, and you know what? These were just going to get thrown away, right? Or given to like Goodwill or something. And so things like this really catch my eye. Old things that people use that have a story behind them, right? Have their own blood, sweat, and tears soaked into this handle, right? Even though it looks pretty dry. But those things I think are important, like I take old furniture, like the old pie safe you see back in the corner over there. Look up what a pie safe is. It'll blow your mind, the history behind it. And I fixed that one up right there. I even used square nails to do it, right? And glue and clamped it like they would have in the old days, right? I didn't just put new screws in there and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to keep it original and use it so every day when I use that, I can look at it and think how lucky I am that I have that and even have anything to put in it, right? Because back then, pies were so valuable, they had to lock them up because people would steal them while they were cooling out on the windowsill. How crazy is that? Anyway, back to the story. So I was thinking of this and the shovel story we're saying, and you know, back in the day, they all were wood handles. We didn't have these fancy fiberglass handle stuff. And so when a handle would bust, well, they didn't just throw it away and go buy a new one, right? They did one of two things. They either fixed it and put a new handle in it and kept on using the blade until the blade broke, or they made it into something else useful that they could use. And I found all kinds of tools like that. One, when I find it, was this, it looked like a handle broke off a shovel and the handle broke off of a hoe, like one of those forked type hoe loosening soil things. And so he didn't have to bend over. He screwed the two together so he had a medium-sized handle with a T grip on the end where he could hoe like this and not have to bend over with the little hand hoe. How bitchin' is that, right? Smart. Knew he was getting old, had to take it easy, but still wanted to do the things. That's the mindset we need. We need to still do the things even though it hurts, even though it's hard, even though we don't want to, and even though it may seem like we don't have to, right? Okay, so that being said, I got to thinking about that, and looky here what he did. This thing here, now, it looks like the handle had broken maybe a couple times in this. It's got a great blade, hard, good steel, you know, got the foot things on there. And what he did was, this isn't the original handle that broke, but if you break off a handle, it usually breaks about midway, right? Well, just round that thing down. Now, I'd make it a little longer than this, right? So it's about this long, but this one he was doing so that he could plant bushes and have a bigger, rather than having a little tiny garden shovel, he had a real man's garden shovel, right? Well, this would make a great survival shovel too. Now you can see here where the rivet that was in there, he took that out and he just drilled a couple holes and he sunk a screw there and he sunk a screw there, and that was good enough, right? And believe it or not, it ain't made in USA. It says made in Japan. This is before China started taking things over, right? But he went and took probably part of that handle, shaved it down, it looks like, because this looks like it's whittled right there, and shoved it in there and screwed it in to make himself what he needed. This is perfect. This is going to find its way into my garden or my rig when I'm out and about, right? Because it's perfect, right? You know, another thing you could do, you could take, and if you have a shortened handle about this tall, take and kind of round, or kind of make a curve in the end of it, and then take a dowel or the other piece of the handle and screw it on and glue it to that so you have a T handle on it. Then you can really get some purchase behind it, right? We might do that in the future. If I break a shovel handle, I'll modify it into something like this for my rig, and we'll do it ourselves so we can feel like, well, they did back then. And that's the point of this whole video. We need to start thinking about the way they thought 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and even further back. And the people that have that experience and can tell you the stories are going away very quickly as the generations have changed and are moving through. So if you have somebody like that to share stories with, or ask them to share stories with you, go out and do it. It is priceless. I promise you. A lot of the experiences I have in here come from people that are much older than me, that I learned a lot from, respect and love. And I honor them, hopefully, with this video. So until next time, be sure to be safe, secure, always aware of your surroundings. If you have it, carry it. And if you carry it, practice with it and get good with it. And be getting ready and prepared for anything that may come our way, right? Till next time, what do we say? Adios. Oops, ow, I need a Band-Aid.